Hi, this is Kenzo. Welcome back to lovelifedrawing.com. So in the last video we looked at drawing faces in profile from the side, and in this video we're going to look at drawing faces from the front or from an angle. So now we can see both sides of the face, and it's going to be important to get the relationship between the two sides in terms of the proportions and the angles right.
Before getting into specifics on each feature, let's think a bit about the overall process. When editing this video together, if I want to show, for example, how Mako draws the nose, I've got to grab sections of the video from throughout the drawing. And that's because she doesn't just draw the nose in one go and then move on to the next part of the drawing. She puts a structure in place first for the whole face, including some very rough shapes for the nose. She continues to add extra layers of contour and tone throughout the face, each layer becoming a little more accurate and nuanced. So the nose will be visited many times throughout the drawing. She doesn't do this particularly systematically, but more just on feeling. Her eye tells her what needs to be built up next, and she doesn't allow anything to get too polished or detailed in isolation. Everything's going to be worked on evenly. This is the same for contours or outlines and tones. She builds up some contours and then tonal shapes and then back to contours. She doesn't just draw the outlines and then fill them in with shade. She builds up both at the same time. Now, this is her process, and something different may work for you. One advantage to this, though, is that if you need to move or resize or change the angle of a feature because it's not working relative to the rest of the face, it's a lot easier when that feature hasn't been more finished or more polished than the rest. Another advantage is that it's easier to see how each feature should be in relation to other features, so it's easier when all the features are built up at the same level. So for quite a lot of this drawing, she had this edge of the face and the chin quite wrong, but it wasn't the end of the world. She just moved things around during the drawing. So from this angle we can see both sides of the face, but we can see one side more than the other. So from our point of view, one side is narrower and the other is wider. For the narrower side, it's going to be useful to look at the shape created between the edge of the face and the central facial features like the nose, mouth and eyes. You can see this shape a bit like you normally use negative space. And seeing this shape actually helped her to correct the outline that she'd given to the face. On the side that's facing us more, the shape created between the central features and the edge of the face is a little too big to be useful. It's easy to make that shape too wide or too narrow. So we can use tonal shapes to break up this area into smaller chunks. To start with, we're going to massively simplify the shapes of the shade on this side of the face and lightly shade that area. When starting to put in the basic structure of the face, it's useful to put in that line that runs down the middle of the face. It's worth keeping in mind that the way this line curves will vary between different faces. This model's face, if you look at it in profile, is quite curved, so in this sort of three-quarter view, we need to consider that. And other people have flatter faces.
Really hope you're enjoying this video. This is just a quick note to say that if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, because we're going to keep coming out with really useful tutorials about drawing and life drawing. And we'd also really appreciate it if you hit the like button. That lets YouTube know that this video is a good one. And if you want to leave a comment, that would be great. We find that really, really encouraging. And finally, if you have any friends that you think would find this kind of video useful, it would be really cool if you could let them know about Love Life Drawing.
You may have seen in our other video that we talked about seeing a heart shape created by the lips. Rather than looking at the mouth as a mouth or the nose as a nose, it can be helpful to see the features in terms of other shapes this way. It helps prevent our pesky minds from distorting the shapes we're seeing. This time, since we can see both sides of the mouth, we can look for two heart shapes that overlap in the middle. The one on the far side will be stubbier and shorter because it's angled away from us. As you observe the nose, look out for the part of the nose where it's lowest, somewhere around the bridge between the eyes. we're going to check how that point aligns with the line of the eyes. That point of the nose is important. It's common to start the nose low on the face, and then the whole nose ends up too low, and that means there's a big gap between the eyes and the bottom of the nose, so that the cheeks become really long. It's useful to measure the angle of the nose from that at the top of the nose to the tip of the nose. It's obviously not going to run along the same line as the center line of the face because the nose is sticking out at an angle from that line. So it's good to give some attention to the relationship between that nose line and the center line of the face. Take care to measure the angle of the line running through the eyes. To draw the eyes, we're going to start with quite a large shape, really encompassing the whole eye socket. We're going to add in the shapes of the tones created by the eye socket. So we're putting down some context for the eye as a foundation. We want to check the distance between the center line down the middle of the face to the inner edge of each eye to help us place each one. It can be useful when we're looking at the face from these angles and also in the side view to see the eyelid and eyelashes like a French policeman's hat, again trying to see things in terms of other shapes. As always, make sure you use alignment and negative space as often as possible. They're really especially helpful for this angled view. And we're still being careful with those nasolabial lines, the ones that run from the outer edges of the nose down to the corners of the mouth. And we're also still being quite careful about where we use lines to show form and when we're being a bit gentler, just using changes in tone to show form.
Alright, drawing faces is tricky. Don't worry if you're struggling with it. With time and with practice, it's going to start to make more and more sense. So the main thing really is about perseverance. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we're going to keep coming out with useful tutorials and other types of videos. We've got loads of cool stuff planned. If you have any friends that you think would find this useful, let them know about Love Life Drawing. That would be really cool. We really appreciate all the comments that you've been giving us and the fact that you're hitting the like button on the videos. That's really great. That helps YouTube know that these videos are good. So thank you so much for that. See you next time. Thanks again for watching.